The first time Lily saw the boy, he was standing at the palace gates with the rain crashing over his thin shoulders, his small hands trembling around a piece of stale bread. She hadn't even meant to stop. She was on her way to meet King Rowan, already rehearsing the courage she needed to tell him she wanted to postpone their engagement. Their worlds seemed farther apart every day, but then the boy lifted his face, and every thought she had shattered. Because his eyes, dark, wide, frightened, were identical to the eyes she had seen in the royal portraits, the eyes of Prince Elias, the king's little son who had died 5 years earlier. Lily froze. She felt the cold rain run down her spine, but her breath burned hot. The boy stepped back as if afraid she'd strike him, and in that split second she understood something impossible yet undeniable. Rowan had told her the prince's death was an accident. Everyone in the kingdom of Asterfall believed it. But looking at that child's face, a frightening thought carved itself into her mind. What if the prince had never died? What if Rowan had been lied to? What if someone had taken the boy and replaced him with a corpse? What if the child in front of her was the truth returning? She took a slow step toward him. "What's your name?" she asked softly. He didn't answer. He clutched the bread tighter. His lips were pale from hunger. His clothes were rags. "Please," she whispered, "I'm not going to hurt you. You just look like someone I once saw." Lightning cracked across the sky. The boy flinched, and Lily saw it more clearly. The tremor that ran through him wasn't only fear, it was instinct. A vampire's instinct, Rowan's instinct. The same subtle tension in the muscles, the same way the pupils reacted to sudden light. She stepped back, shaken. This wasn't just resemblance. This was blood. She turned toward the gates. "Guards," she said, wiping the rain from her face. "Bring him inside." The boy bolted like a startled animal. "No!" Lily ran after him, the mud gripping her shoes. He stumbled, fell, then scrambled up again, slipping in the wet dirt. She reached him and knelt, placing a trembling hand on his shoulder. "It's all right," she murmured. "You're safe, I promise." He finally looked at her properly. And there was something behind his fear, something desperate, something that looked like hope. She swallowed hard. "I'm taking you to the king." He stiffened as if the word itself hurt him. But he didn't run again. 3 paragraphs have now passed. But before we continue, I want to invite you to something very special. Subscribe to the channel and leave your like. This helps me see that you support me and enjoy my stories. And comment below which city you're watching from. Now let's continue. Lily wrapped her cloak around the boy and led him through the side entrance to the palace. Torchlight warmed the stone hall, and she felt him relax slightly, though his bare feet left wet prints on the floor. He walked close to her, as if staying near her might shield him from whatever he feared inside these walls. She knocked on the heavy wooden door to Rowan's chambers. Her heart drummed with a mix of dread and urgency. What was she even about to say? How could she explain the impossible truth she had brought to his doorstep? The door opened. Rowan stood there in a dark embroidered coat, his silver eyes tired yet warm when they landed on her. That warmth faded when he noticed the small figure hiding behind her. "Lily," he said slowly, "what is this?" She stepped aside. "Rowan, look at him." The boy raised his head. Rowan's breath caught. He stared, frozen, as if someone had driven a blade of ice through his chest. His face drained of color, his hands trembled slightly. "No," he whispered. This is not possible." The boy took a hesitant step forward, as if drawn by something older than memory. Rowan's eyes glistened, his throat tightened. "Elias?" he breathed. The boy blinked, not understanding, not recognizing the name. But Rowan staggered back, gripping the edge of a table to stay upright. "He looks like your dead son," Lily whispered, her voice breaking. "Rowan, he looks exactly like him." But before Rowan could speak, before he could gather the meaning of what stood before him, the boy suddenly gasped, a choked, terrified sound. He pointed behind Rowan, and a shadow moved. A figure stepped out. A voice Lily had never heard inside the palace hissed, "He was never supposed to return." The voice slithered through the chamber like cold smoke, and Lily instinctively pulled the boy behind her. Rowan stepped forward, shielding both of them, his eyes sharpening with a predator's focus. From the dim corner near the tall bookshelves, a figure emerged. Tall, wrapped in a dark traveling cloak, heavy with rain, hood shadowing their face. But Lily recognized the posture, the scent of old parchment and iron. It was Marin, the king's advisor, a man Rowan had trusted since before she ever arrived at the palace. Rowan's voice came out low. "Why are you in my private chambers, Marin?" Marin did not answer him. Instead, he tilted his head slightly toward the boy, and Lily saw something she had never seen before, not in Marin, not in anyone. Hatred. Pure, trembling hatred. "He was never meant to walk into this palace again," Marin said softly. The boy's fingers dug into Lily's cloak. Rowan moved between them, his jaw tightening. "Explain yourself. Now." Marin slowly lowered his hood. He looked older than usual, as if the shadows of his secrets had aged him years. His pale eyes flicked from Rowan to Lily, and finally to the trembling child. "I protected you," Marin said. "Protected all of us. You were too weak to do what needed to be done, so I did it for you." Lily felt her stomach twist. The room seemed to shrink around them. Rowan's voice was barely human now. "What are you saying?" Marin exhaled, almost regretfully. "Prince Elias was destined to bring the kingdoms into war, a prophecy older than the throne itself. You refused to listen. You loved him too much to see the truth, so I intervened. I made sure the threat died." Lily's blood ran cold. Rowan did not move. He was stone, pure, silent stone. "You killed my son," he whispered. "No," Marin corrected calmly. "I ensured peace. I made sure the body was found. I made sure everyone believed." His eyes returned to the boy. "But I never knew there was another, a twin, hidden, shielded, protected by some fool who thought he could undo destiny." The boy shook, eyes wide with panic. Lily knelt and held his hand. "A twin," she repeated softly. "Rowan, did you know?" Rowan swallowed, breath unsteady. "I was told there was one child, only one." Marin gave a slow, cruel smile. "You were told what you needed to hear." Lightning flashed outside the windows, casting the room in silver light for an instant. The boy flinched again, and Rowan's gaze softened, just for him, even as fury burned inside him like fire. "Marin," Rowan said, stepping forward with absolute control, "you will explain what you did, every detail, and then you will be judged." But Marin stepped back toward the door, cloak brushing the stone. "I owe you nothing anymore. Not after you betrayed the kingdom by letting this child return. You cannot protect him, and destiny will not be undone." Rowan lunged. But Marin was faster, impossibly fast. A flash of movement, the rush of cold air, and he vanished through the corridor like a streak of shadow. Rowan stopped at the doorway, chest heaving, fists clenched so tightly, his knuckles cracked. For a moment, Lily feared he might collapse. Then he turned, and she saw something she had never seen in him before. Not anger, not grief, but something deeper, older, more dangerous. Resolve. He crossed the room and knelt before the boy, lowering himself slowly to the child's height. Rowan's voice trembled with a mix of heartbreak and wonder. "What is your name?" The boy hesitated, then whispered, "Callan." Rowan closed his eyes for one long moment, perhaps mourning the name he once expected to hear. When he opened them, his expression was soft, but beneath that softness lived steel. "Callan," he said, "no one will ever harm you again. I will not lose my son twice." Callan blinked, unsure of the word son, unsure of Rowan, unsure of anything. But he did not pull away when Rowan touched his shoulder. Lily felt tears rise, not from sadness, but from witnessing the beginning of something fragile, something powerful, a thread tying two lives that destiny had tried to sever. Rowan stood. "Lily, take him to the east wing. The guards will protect you. I must find Marin before he vanishes." Lily grabbed Rowan's wrist. "You can't go alone. He's dangerous." Rowan's voice dropped. "He was dangerous 5 years ago, and I did nothing. I will not repeat that mistake." He slipped away before she could argue, leaving Lily alone with the boy and a storm both inside and outside the palace walls. She held Callan's hand. "Stay close to me," she whispered. The child nodded faintly. As they walked through the dim corridors, Lily felt it growing. The sense that this boy was not simply a resemblance, not simply a lost child found by chance. He was a truth the kingdom had tried to bury, and truths, once uncovered, changed everything. The palace halls were quiet at this hour, but not peacefully so. The silence felt heavy, stretched tight like a thin thread ready to snap. Lily walked quickly. Callan pressed against her side, his bare feet soundless against the polished stone. Every torch they passed crackled softly, throwing warm light on the child's frightened eyes. She could feel the tremor in his small hand. Not from cold anymore. From memory. "Does this place scare you?" she whispered. Callan didn't answer at first. He looked at the tall ceilings, the columns carved with the history of vampire kings, the banners bearing Rowan's crest. His gaze lingered on each shape like they were familiar and strange at the same time. Finally, he murmured, "I was here, once." A chill ran down Lily's spine. "How long ago?" He shook his head. "I don't know." But he did know something. She could hear it in his voice. Not the uncertainty of someone guessing, but the confusion of someone trying to pull memories out of fog. They turned a corner, entering the east wing. It was quieter here, with long windows showing the storm outside. The wind slammed against the glass, making Callan flinch. Lily squeezed his hand gently. "Rowan will protect you," she said. "We both will." Callan looked at her the way a starving child might look at a meal he wasn't sure he was allowed to touch. "Why?" The question stunned her. "Because you deserve to be safe." "No one ever said that before," he whispered. Lily swallowed hard. His voice was so small, she could feel anger simmering inside her, not at him, but at whoever had kept a child like this, hidden and alone. They reached the guest chambers. Lily opened the door, letting the warm firelight spill into the corridor. Callan stepped inside cautiously, as if expecting a trap. The room smelled of cedar and clean linens. The fire crackled, offering a comfort he didn't seem to know how to trust. Lily knelt in front of him, brushing wet hair from his forehead. "You're safe here. I promise." Callan touched the edge of the blanket on the bed, his fingers tentative. "Is this really for me?" "Yes." His lips parted slightly, as if he couldn't believe someone would give him something without taking anything in return. Lily stood and crossed the room to fetch a towel, but Callan's voice stopped her. "You're kind," he whispered. "They said no one in the palace was kind." Her heart squeezed. "Who told you that?" Callan hesitated so long she thought he wouldn't answer. Then he said a name she didn't expect. "Marin." Lily froze. Callan lowered himself onto the edge of the bed, staring at his hands. "He said I must never come back, that the king wouldn't want me, that I would ruin everything." Lily slowly sat beside him. "Callan, did Marin take you away from the palace?" The child nodded once, barely moving. She felt her breath catch. Marin hadn't just lied, he had stolen a child. A soft knock startled them both. Lily turned, expecting a guard, but instead Rowan stepped inside, his cloak dripping rain across the floor. His expression was unreadable, a mask stretched over a storm. "Did you find him?" Lily asked. Rowan shut the door behind him. "No, he vanished. He knew every passage, every escape route." His voice tightened. "He planned this for years." Callan shrank, pulling his knees closer to his chest. Rowan approached slowly, kneeling again so he wouldn't loom over the boy. "Callan," he said gently, "may I ask you something?" Callan looked up. "Do you remember me?" Callan stared at Rowan's face as if searching for something buried deep inside him. After a long moment, he whispered, "You feel familiar." Rowan's eyes filled instantly, and the king looked away for a breath, fighting emotion. Lily placed a hand on Rowan's shoulder. "We'll figure it out. Together." Rowan nodded, regaining control. "Callan, I want you to stay here for now. Guards will protect you. Lily will stay too." The boy hesitated, then quietly said, "Do you promise you won't send me away?" Rowan's voice broke. "I promise." Callan relaxed slightly, the first sign of trust Lily had seen in him. Rowan stood, but before he could step back, Callan reached out and grabbed his sleeve. Both Rowan and Lily froze. Callan's eyes were wide with fear. "Marin said, if I returned, someone else would die." Rowan knelt again, gripping the boy's hands. "No one is dying because of you. Do you hear me?" Callan's breath shook. Then he whispered something that made Lily's blood turn cold. He said he already chose who. Rowan's expression hardened into absolute determination. Not while I still breathe. Lily felt it then. The beginning of a battle they didn't yet understand. A storm not outside the palace, but inside it. The truth was no longer something they were discovering. It was something coming for them. Night deepened over the palace, but no one inside felt the calm that usually came with it. The storm outside had calmed to a steady drizzle, yet the corridors trembled with a different kind of tension, the kind born from secrets that had finally forced their way to the surface. Lily sat on a cushioned chair near the fire, watching Callan sleep curled against the blankets. His breathing was shallow, uneven, as if even in dreams he feared being dragged away again. Rowan stood by the window, his silhouette sharp against the rain-streaked glass. He hadn't spoken for several minutes. Lily could feel the weight of his silence, heavy with guilt, fear, and a fury that simmered at the edges of his control. "You're thinking too loudly," she finally whispered. Rowan didn't turn. "I keep hearing his voice. Elias. I keep seeing him running through these halls. I see the way he laughed, the way he reached for me when he fell asleep on my shoulder, and tonight, when I looked at Callan, it was like watching a ghost breathe." Lily rose from her chair, crossing the room to stand beside him. The air smelled faintly of wet stone and burning cedar. "Callan isn't a ghost, and you didn't fail him. You didn't know." Rowan exhaled sharply. "That's the problem. I should have known. I should have questioned everything. My son was taken from me, and I believed what I was told because it was easier than facing the possibility someone close to me could betray me." His voice cracked at the last word. Lily placed a hand on his arm. "You trusted Marin," she said softly. "Everyone did." Rowan's jaw clenched. Never again. A soft rustling came from the bed. Callan stirred, twisting slightly under the blankets. Rowan turned immediately, his instinct to protect overpowering every other emotion. The boy's eyes fluttered open, wide and disoriented. Lily knelt beside him. "It's all right. You're safe." Callan's voice was barely audible. "He's coming back." Lily froze. Rowan stepped closer. "Who?" Callan swallowed. "Marin. He always comes back at night." Lily felt her heart tighten. "Has he been watching you?" The boy nodded, tiny, trembling. "He said he always knows where I am." Rowan's eyes darkened with controlled fury. "Not anymore." Callan looked between them. "He said, if I returned to the king, he would take someone instead." His breathing quickened. "He said the king had to lose someone. That destiny had to be balanced." Lily felt Rowan stiffen beside her. She held Callan's hand gently. "Who did he say he would take?" Callan shook his head helplessly. "He didn't say, only that it had to be someone the king cared about." Silence dropped over the room like a falling stone. Rowan's fear sharpened into something colder, more dangerous. "Lily," he said quietly, "I need you and Callan to stay somewhere safer than this." Lily frowned. "Where?" "The Crimson Wing, the guard's fortress on the East Cliff. Marin can't reach you there, not without alerting half the kingdom." Lily opened her mouth to argue, but Rowan's gaze made her stop. He wasn't commanding her as a king. He was pleading with her as someone terrified of losing more than he already had. "All right," she said. "We'll go." A loud knock startled them. Rowan tensed instantly. Lily gathered Callan closer, but the door opened before Rowan could approach. Captain Sayer, Rowan's most trusted guard, stepped inside with urgency written across his face. "Your Majesty," he said, breath strained. "We found something." Rowan straightened. "What?" Sayer held out a folded piece of parchment. "It was left at the east gate. No one saw who delivered it." Rowan opened it quickly. Lily moved behind him to read over his arm. The handwriting was careful, deliberate, a style she recognized from palace records. The note read only 4 words: "You know the price." Lily felt the hairs rise on the back of her neck. Rowan clenched the paper so tightly it tore. "He wants me to choose," he whispered. "He wants me to lose someone. Again." Callan whimpered, covering his ears. "I didn't mean to come back. I didn't want anyone to get hurt." Lily pulled him close. "None of this is your fault." Rowan knelt in front of him, gripping both of his hands. "Callan, look at me." The child slowly raised his eyes. You are not a burden. You are not a curse. Someone stole you from me, and I will not let him hurt you or anyone else ever again. Callan's lips trembled. Promise? Rowan didn't hesitate. With my life. Sayer cleared his throat softly. Your Majesty, there's something else. Rowan stood. Speak. We tracked footprints away from the gate. They head toward the forest, and we found blood. Lily's breath caught. Whose blood? Sayer shook his head. We don't know. But there were drag marks. Callan's voice broke into a whisper. He already took someone. The room fell into a suffocating stillness. Rowan closed his eyes, pain tearing across his face. When he opened them, the king was gone. In his place stood the predator, the father, the man forged from centuries of war and loss. Get every guard ready, Rowan said, voice low and final. No one sleeps tonight. Lily felt her pulse quicken. Rowan, who do you think he took? Rowan looked at her with a fear she had never seen in him. I don't know, he said, but I will bring them back. Callan looked at Rowan with a trembling understanding that no child should ever have. And Lily realized something terrifying. Marin wasn't coming for the kingdom. He was coming for Rowan's heart. The storm had died completely by dawn, leaving the air thick with the scent of wet earth and something sharper beneath it. Fear. The palace was already awake, guards rushing through halls, servants whispering anxiously as word spread that someone had vanished in the night. Rowan, however, moved with a single unwavering purpose. He paced the council chamber like a trapped flame, every step echoing his fury. Lily sat with Callan on a cushioned bench near the fireplace. The boy clung to her sleeve, eyes darting around the room. Rowan's anger didn't frighten him. What frightened him was what that anger meant, that someone else was paying a price meant for him. Sayer entered, his armor still wet at the edges. Your Majesty, we've confirmed it. Rowan stopped instantly. Who is missing? Sayer hesitated. His voice dropped. Mira. Lily gasped quietly. Mira, the king's personal healer, the woman who had tended Elias since birth, the one who had comforted Rowan through the worst years of mourning. She had been like a mother to the prince, a constant presence in the palace, loyal to Rowan beyond duty. Rowan went still, his breath leaving him like a blow. She was taken from her quarters, Sayer continued. No signs of struggle, no witnesses, only footprints leading toward the woods. Rowan's fingers curled tightly around the table's edge. Marin took her because she loved Elias, he said, voice cracking. Because he knew it would hurt me. Callan trembled. He said it had to be someone important. Rowan knelt before him immediately. Callan, listen to me. What Marin is doing is evil, but it is not your fault. Do you understand? Callan blinked rapidly. He said destiny could not be changed. Rowan shook his head. Destiny is not written by men like Marin. Destiny is shaped by the choices we make. Callan didn't seem convinced, but Lily pulled him close, rubbing his back gently as Rowan stood again. We ride at once, Rowan said. Sayer, prepare 2 search groups. I lead one. Captain Helen leads the other. Sayer nodded and rushed out. Lily rose quickly. I'm going too. Rowan turned with fire in his eyes. Absolutely not. I'm not staying behind while Mira is out there terrified, she said firmly. And Callan trusts me. He will need me. Rowan hesitated, not because he doubted her courage, but because he feared what he could lose. Before he could speak again, Callan tugged Lily's hand and whispered, He'll come for her too. Rowan stiffened. For who? Callan looked directly at Lily. He said the king's heart has more than one piece. Lily's breath caught. Rowan closed his eyes for a moment, as if steadying the weight of that truth. When he opened them, the decision was made. You stay close to me, he said softly. Both of you. Lily nodded. 3 paragraphs have passed. Before we continue, tell me in the comments what you think of this story so far and what you would do in her place. Don't leave the video, because what comes next will give you chills. Rowan strapped on his sword and cloak, then approached Callan. You'll ride with me. Callan looked unsure. I've never ridden a horse. Rowan gave a faint, soft smile, the first sign of warmth he had shown all morning. Then you'll hold on to me, and I won't let you fall. Callan swallowed hard and nodded. Outside, the early light glowed weakly against the clouds. Horses stamped their hooves, steam rising from their breath. Guards assembled in two tight formations, all waiting for Rowan's command. As Rowan lifted Callan onto the saddle, the child tensed, gripping Rowan's arm with surprising strength. "I won't let him take you," Callan whispered. Rowan's throat tightened. "And I won't let him take anyone else." The king mounted behind him, securing the boy with one arm. Lily rode beside them, her cloak tied tightly around her, eyes set with quiet determination. Sayer signaled the groups. "Tracks lead east, toward the old forest." Rowan nodded. "We follow them." The horses surged forward. Wind whipped at Lily's face, carrying the scent of pine and something else, faint, metallic, like dried blood. The forest loomed closer with every stride, tall and ancient, its branches twisted like reaching arms. The deeper they rode, the quieter the world became, until even the birds seemed afraid to make a sound. Finally, the tracks grew clearer, then stopped abruptly. Sayer dismounted, crouching beside the disturbed soil. "They dragged someone through here. But the trail ends." Lily's pulse quickened. "How can it end? No one just disappears." Rowan looked at the darkened trees ahead. "He's using old tunnels, passages beneath the forest." Callan clutched Rowan tightly. "I remember the dark," he whispered. "He kept me in the dark." Rowan bent closer. "Can you lead us? Do you remember where?" Callan closed his eyes. His breathing quickened, then steadied. Slowly, he pointed east, toward a cluster of ancient stones half swallowed by moss. "There," he whispered. "There's a door under the ground." Rowan galloped forward, stopping at the stones. He dismounted with Callan, then pressed his hand against the largest slab. For a moment, nothing happened. Then, the stone shifted with a deep rumble. A hidden stairway revealed itself, descending into darkness. Lily felt her heart hammer. Rowan took a torch from Sayer, flame flickering against his grim expression. "Stay behind me. No matter what you hear, no matter what you see." Callan gripped his hand. Lily took a breath and followed. As they stepped into the tunnel, the air shifted, cold, damp, and thick with something ancient. And somewhere far below, a woman's muffled cry echoed faintly. Mira was alive, but not for long. The stairway descended deeper than Lily expected, far deeper than any royal map had ever shown. Each step groaned under their weight, stone damp with centuries of forgotten rain. The air grew colder with every breath, the kind of cold that seeped into the bones, not from temperature, but from memory. Callan clung to Rowan's hand as they reached the bottom of the steps and stepped into a narrow passageway carved from dark, ancient rock. Rowan lifted the torch, the flame revealing a long tunnel stretching ahead like a throat leading into the earth. The walls were covered in old carvings, symbols of protection, sacrifice, and curses. Lily's skin prickled. "What is this place?" she whispered. Rowan's voice was strained. "A burial passage, used long before the kingdom was founded. I thought these entrances were sealed generations ago." Callan shook his head. "Marin said the old paths never close. He said they always wait for someone to wander inside." Lily felt a chill crawl up her spine. "He brought you here." Callan lowered his gaze. "Many times." Rowan stopped walking. His hand tightened around the torch, knuckles white. "Callan, how did you survive down here?" The boy's voice was barely a breath. "I learned not to make sounds. The dark takes voices." Lily swallowed hard. Every word Callan spoke was a knife. They continued forward. A faint sound echoed from deep within the tunnel. A muffled sob. Mira's sob. Lily's instinct urged her to sprint toward it, but Rowan extended an arm in front of her. "Slow. Marin wants us to rush." They moved carefully, every footstep echoing off the stone. The smell of damp earth grew stronger. The air thickened with something Lily recognized as old magic. Heavy, unsettling, waiting. Finally, they reached a narrow chamber lit by a single lantern placed on the ground. The lantern's flame flickered strangely, as if breathing. "Mira?" Lily called softly. A strained voice answered, shaking. "Lily, Rowan, is that you?" Rowan rushed forward, and Lily followed. Mira was tied to a stone pillar, wrists bound with rope, coated in something black. Her hair was disheveled, her face streaked with dirt and tears. But she was alive. Lily knelt at her side. "We're here. You're safe now." Rowan cut the ropes quickly, and Mira collapsed into his arms, crying softly. "He said you wouldn't come," she whispered. "He said you'd let the past stay buried." Rowan held her gently. "You raised my son. I will always come for you." Mira sobbed harder. Callan stood a few feet behind them, eyes wide, frozen as if afraid to step closer. Lily reached out a hand. "It's all right. Come here, Callan." He took one hesitant step. Then a voice echoed through the tunnel, calm and sharp. "You should not have saved her." They all turned. Marin stood at the opposite end of the chamber, his cloak brushing the ancient stone floor, his hands clasped behind his back. His expression was composed, almost peaceful, but his eyes glinted with something wild. Rowan stepped in front of everyone, sword drawn. "It ends now, Marin." Marin smiled faintly. "Yes, but not the way you think." Lily placed herself between Callan and the threat, heart pounding hard enough to hurt. Mira clung to Rowan's arm, trying to steady her breath. Marin looked directly at Callan, and something in the boy shrank. "I see you remember these tunnels, child. Good. You should. This is where your fate was decided." Callan trembled, jaw tight with fear. Rowan's voice cut through the air like a blade. "Your fate will be decided by me, not by your delusions." Marin shook his head. "Rowan, I loved this kingdom. I saved it the only way I could." The prophecy was clear. The son of the vampire king would bring a war so catastrophic it would swallow every realm. So I removed one son. Lily felt her breath hitch. "And when the other son returned," Marin continued calmly, "I prepared to remove something else." Rowan stepped closer, fury radiating off him. "You won't touch him." Marin's gaze hardened. "You cannot stop what destiny demands." "Destiny is not yours to decide," Rowan growled. Marin raised a hand, and the passage behind him roared with sudden wind. The lanterns flickered violently, shadows stretching like claws. Lily shielded Callan as the air grew thick and sharp, as if the tunnel itself had awakened. Mira clutched Rowan's sleeve. "He's using the old magic. Stop him, before he opens the gate." Rowan's entire body tensed. "Marin, the old gate was sealed. You cannot—" "Yes," Marin interrupted softly, "but your grief opened it years ago, and now your hope will open it fully." Lily felt the floor vibrate. Callan grabbed her hand, voice trembling. "He wants me," he whispered, "but if he can't take me—" Lily looked down at him, fear twisting inside her. "Who?" she whispered. "Who would he take instead?" Callan looked at Rowan, then at her, and Lily understood, but she didn't say it, because Rowan did, his voice breaking, filled with terror. "Lily," he said, stepping back as if pulled by instinct, "get away from him." Marin smiled, because now the king understood exactly who destiny wanted. For a heartbeat, no one moved. The torchlight flickered against the damp stone, stretching shadows across the chamber as if the tunnel itself was holding its breath. Lily stood frozen, Callan's small hand gripping hers so tightly it hurt. Rowan was a statue of horror and fury, sword raised but trembling. Marin watched them with calm, terrible certainty, as if everything unfolding had already been written. "What do you mean?" Lily whispered, though part of her already knew. Marin stepped forward, boots silent on the ancient stone. "A king's heart has many pieces, Lily, but destiny always chooses the piece that bleeds the most." Rowan moved so suddenly the air cracked. "If you touch her, I will tear this place apart." Marin didn't flinch. "You won't kill me. Not until you understand." Lily felt Rowan's terror before he spoke. His voice wasn't commanding now. It was raw. "Lily, stay behind me." But Marin's eyes were fixed on her. When Elias died, Rowan's grief awakened the first crack in the old gate. A crack I widened, but now his gaze slid to Callan. Hope awakened the second. The world must balance. One son returned. One heart must be taken. Callan whimpered, and Lily immediately knelt, pulling him against her. "I'm not letting him near you," she whispered fiercely. Callan shook his head and whispered back, "He doesn't want me anymore." Lily's stomach twisted. "Then who—" Callan looked up at her with wide, terrified eyes. You, he whispered. Lily's breath left her in a sharp, painful exhale. Behind her, Rowan made a sound. Deep, guttural, animal. The sound of a king, a father, a grieving man who had already lost too much. Before anyone could move, Marin lifted his hand, and the lantern's flame stretched into a narrow, twisting line of light, snaking across the air like a living thread. The walls vibrated. The ground hummed beneath them. Mira gasped, pulling herself upright. "He's opening the gate! Lily, he's using your life force to power it! Get back!" Rowan lunged, but a wall of air slammed him backward, pinning him to the stone. Lily screamed his name, but her voice was swallowed by the tunnel's trembling. Marin's voice echoed through the chamber, cold and distant. "You were the king's mistake, his distraction, his softness. Remove you, and destiny closes." The light thread stretched toward Lily like a reaching serpent. Kalen threw himself in front of her. "No!" he cried. Marin's expression finally cracked. Surprise. "Child, step aside." Callan shook his head, breath shaking. "You won't hurt her. You took everything from me. You won't take her too." Lily pulled him close, her hands trembling. She wanted to run, to shield him, to grab Rowan, to tear down the world if she had to. But the air was growing thick, heavy, vibrating with old power. Rowan strained against the invisible force holding him, muscles shaking, fangs bared, eyes burning with red rage. "Lily! Callan, get back!" But the tunnel trembled again, louder, stronger. Before the tension snapped, Lily forced herself to breathe. "Marin," she said, voice steady even though her entire body trembled. "If destiny demands someone who matters to Rowan, take me and leave the child." Rowan roared in pain. "No!" Callan clung to her desperately. "Don't!" Marin raised his hand again, and the light coiled tighter. "He accepts," Marin whispered. "No," Lily said, voice firm now. "He doesn't. But I do." For a moment, Marin faltered, because sacrifice freely given was more powerful than any spell. Callan shook his head violently. "Lily, don't leave me. Please, please don't leave me." Her heart shattered. She cupped his face, kissing his forehead. "I won't. I swear I won't." Behind them, Rowan strained so hard the stone cracked under his fists. "Lily!" he roared. "Don't do this! I cannot lose you!" Lily didn't look back. She couldn't bear to. Her eyes stayed on Callan. "You are not a prophecy. You are not a curse. You are a child, and you deserve a life." Callan's tears spilled silently. Marin stepped forward, raising both hands now, drawing on the ancient power in the tunnel. The walls shook. Dust rained from the ceiling. The air grew sharp, slicing at Lily's lungs. The glowing thread tightened into a spear of white light aimed directly at her heart. And just before it struck, 3 paragraphs have now passed. Before we continue, tell me if you would have the courage to live a story like this, or if something similar has ever happened to you. Don't leave the video, because what comes next will give you chills. Just before the light reached her chest, Callan screamed, not in fear, but in power. The sound ripped through the tunnel like a force of its own. The torch's flame exploded, the stone walls glowed faintly. Marin staggered backward, eyes widening. Lily gasped. "Callan!" Rowan's restraints shattered, but Callan wasn't looking at either of them. He was staring at Marin with an expression no child should ever wear. Ancient, fierce, shimmering with a buried truth. And when he spoke, his voice no longer sounded like a frightened street boy. It sounded like a prince. "You lied about destiny," Callan said softly. "You lied about everything." The light around him grew brighter. Marin stepped back, horror replacing certainty. "No," he whispered. "This is impossible." Callan took a step forward, his small frame glowing with raw, awakening power. "You took my life," he said. "Now I'm taking it back." The tunnel trembled, the gate shook, and destiny, the true one, finally opened its eyes. The chamber pulsed with blinding light, forcing Lily to shield her eyes. Rowan staggered forward, freed at last from the invisible force that held him, but he stopped when he saw Callan, really saw him, for the first time. The boy stood alone in the center of the room, his small frame surrounded by a faint glow that shimmered like dawn breaking over ice. His hair lifted slightly in the charged air. His pupils had narrowed into the shape of ancient vampire royalty. He was no longer hiding. He was awakening. Marin stumbled backward, cloak scraping against the stone floor. His confidence, the certainty he'd carried for years, shattered as the light grew brighter. He had built his entire plan on one belief, that the child had been stolen before his power could bloom. But now the truth stood in front of him. Callan wasn't powerless. He was suppressed, and now unleashed. Rowan took a step forward, voice hoarse. "Callan, what is happening?" Callan's eyes softened for a moment when they met Rowan's. "I don't know all of it, but I think this was always inside me." Lily pressed a trembling hand to her chest. "You don't have to fight him alone." But Callan shook his head gently, still glowing. "He took everything from me. He took my life, my memories, and he wanted to take you too." His voice cracked. "I won't let him." Marin's panic finally erupted. "You don't understand what you are," he shouted. "The prophecy." Callan turned to him, expression sorrowful and fierce. "The prophecy was twisted. You twisted it." Marin flinched as if struck. Rowan stepped closer, sword raised. "Tell me the truth, Marin. Now." Marin's chest heaved. "The prophecy said the king's heir would bring an end to the old kingdoms, that he would end the age of blood." Lily stiffened. "End, as in destroy?" Marin shook his head violently. "No, worse. He would end the rule of vampires altogether." Rowan's heartbeat thundered in his ears. Lily blinked. "So the heir wasn't a threat to the world? Just to the throne?" Marin's voice broke. "I was trying to save our people, our lineage." Rowan stared at him with something deeper than rage, heartbreak. "You stole my son," he said, voice cracking. "And for what? To protect power I never cared about?" Marin's face twisted with desperation. "Rowan, without us, the kingdoms collapse. The vampires needed a leader," Rowan cut in. "Not a murderer." The tunnel rumbled violently as Callan's glow intensified. Dust rained from the ceiling. The air crackled sharper than lightning. Callan raised his hands slowly as though discovering their weight. "Marin, if I was destined to end an age, then maybe that age needed to end." Marin paled. "Rowan," Lily whispered, grabbing his sleeve. "The gate! Look!" The ancient carvings along the walls were lighting up one by one, responding to Callan's awakening. The symbols glowed gold, then red, then white. The ground trembled under their feet. Marin stumbled backward, eyes wide with terror. "He'll open it! He'll break the seal! He'll unleash—" Callan's soft voice stopped him. "No, you will." Marin froze. "What?" Callan lifted his palm. A thin thread of light shot from his hand, weaving toward the lantern Marin had used to power the gate. The flame brightened, then twisted violently. Marin screamed. "No, you don't know what you're doing." "I do," Callan whispered. "I'm undoing you." The light snapped. The lantern shattered. The chamber plunged into darkness, except for Callan, who glowed brighter now than the torch Rowan still held. In the dimness, Rowan grabbed Mira, pulling her behind him, shielding her with his body. Lily rushed to Callan's side but stopped a few feet away. The air around him hummed like a living barrier. "Callan," she said softly, "come back to us. Whatever you're feeling, you're not alone." Callan's breathing was fast, uneven. "I feel everything." Tears slipped down his cheeks. "I feel everything all at once." Marin crawled backward toward the far wall. "Rowan, stop him. You must stop him. If he opens that gate, the old magic will swallow him. He can't control it." Rowan took a careful step forward. "Callan, son, come to me." Callan's glow flickered. He looked torn, the child he had been fighting, the power he was becoming. Then Lily stepped closer, ignoring the trembling air. "Callan," she whispered, "look at me." His eyes shifted to her, filled with fear and trust. "You're not destiny," she said. "You're not a prophecy." She touched her chest. "You're someone we love." The glow softened around him, not gone, but gentler. Marin saw it, and desperation shattered what little control he had left. "No!" he screamed, lunging toward Lily with a blade pulled from his cloak. Callan's eyes widened. Rowan shouted. Lily turned, but she wasn't fast enough. The blade slashed, and then it never reached her, because Callan moved. Not with speed, not with strength, but with light. The glow exploded outward, throwing Marin across the chamber like a rag doll. He slammed into the far wall, collapsing in a heap, the blade clattering uselessly beside him. The chamber went silent. Rowan slowly lowered his sword, staring at the glowing boy in awe and heartbreak. Lily knelt, tears rising. "Callan, what did you—" But he suddenly swayed, knees buckling. Rowan rushed forward, catching him before he hit the floor. The glow faded slowly, leaving Callan small and pale once more. Just a trembling child in the arms of a father who had lost him once and refused to lose him again. Callan's voice was barely a whisper. I didn't mean to hurt him." Rowan pulled him close, holding him tightly. "You didn't. You saved Lily." Tears dripped from Callan's chin. "But he said the world needed me to die." Rowan touched his forehead gently. "No. The world needs you to live." Lily wrapped her arms around them both, breath shaking. Behind them, Marin groaned weakly, defeated but still alive. The tunnel fell quiet, but everyone in that chamber felt it. The story wasn't over yet. The gate had awakened, and something ancient was still waiting in the dark. The chamber stayed silent only for a moment, the kind of silence that comes before something breaks. Rowan held Callan tightly, feeling the boy's weak breaths warm against his chest. Lily knelt beside them, checking his pulse with trembling fingers. The glow was gone now, leaving Callan looking impossibly small, like the power had drained years of strength from him. Mira limped toward them, leaning on the wall for support. "Rowan, the gate isn't done. Look." Rowan followed her gaze. The carvings on the walls, once glowing with Callan's awakening, now pulsed faintly, like a creature breathing. Lines of dim white light crawled slowly along the stone, converging toward the far end of the chamber, where a crack in the wall had formed. It was thin, jagged, but growing, widening as if pulled from the other side. Lily felt her throat tighten. "It's opening." Callan stirred weakly. "I didn't mean to—" His voice cracked. "I didn't mean to wake it." Rowan brushed hair from his face. "Shh. You didn't. You only reacted. You protected Lily." But Callan shook his head. "Marin said the gate opens for the heir, for the one meant to change everything. And you will," Lily said gently, squeezing his shoulder. "But not like this. Not at the cost of your life." A low hum vibrated through the air. The crack in the wall widened again. Just a breath, but enough to spill cold wind into the chamber. That wind carried a faint sound, like whispers layered over each other. Old voices, old promises. Mira shivered. "Rowan, if it opens fully, the old magic inside will consume everything. This isn't a gate to another place. It's a well, a drain. It takes life to stay open." Lily's heart pounded. "Then we close it." But Rowan's voice lowered. "It wants a sacrifice. That's how Marin intended to close it. He wanted Lily for that purpose." Callan's hand clutched Rowan's tunic weakly. "No, nobody else. Nobody else gets hurt because of me." Lily shook her head fiercely. "This isn't because of you." But Callan looked up at her. Really looked, with a calmness that didn't belong to a child. "I feel it calling me. I feel it pulling." He lifted his hand slightly toward the glowing crack. The light responded, flickering brighter. "It wants me." Rowan grabbed his hand. "No, I've already lost one son. I won't lose another." Callan swallowed. "Then we do it together." Lily gasped. "Callan!" But the boy continued softly. "If we all touch the gate, if we give it strength together, maybe it won't have to take anyone." Mira's eyes widened. A shared sacrifice. It could work. Energy divided between 4 people instead of 1. It might be enough to close it without killing anyone. The ground trembled again. Dust fell from the ceiling. They were running out of time. Rowan lifted Callan carefully and stood. Lily and Mira moved beside him. Together they stepped toward the crack, its cold wind washing over them. Callan extended his hand. Rowan placed his over it. Lily covered theirs with hers. Mira added hers last. The gate pulsed, once, twice, then brightened. A deep, hungry rumble filled the chamber. "Hold on," Rowan whispered. Lily squeezed their hands. Callan took a shaky breath. The crack exploded with light, and the gate began to take and take and take. The light struck them like a wave, cold, immense, hungry. Lily felt it rush into her chest, pulling at her breath, her strength, her memories. She cried out but didn't let go. Rowan held Callan tightly against him, one arm wrapped around the boy's small shoulders, the other hand fused with the other's over the glowing crack. Mira braced herself against Rowan's side, teeth clenched as the ancient magic drained through her palms. The gate pulled harder. Lily felt it searching inside her, for sorrow, for fear, for anything it could feed on. It felt like being unstitched from the inside. Callan whimpered, "It's taking too much." Rowan bent closer, voice shaking. "Stay with me, Callan. Stay with me." But the boy's knees buckled. His glow flickered weakly. The gate responded instantly, brightening, widening, pulling with greater force. Lily pushed forward, shifting her body between Callan and the crack. "Take from me instead," she whispered through gritted teeth. "Take what you want. Just leave him." Rowan grabbed her arm, panic flashing in his eyes. "Lily, don't you dare!" But Callan shook his head with sudden strength. "No, we do this together." He pressed his hand harder into theirs, small fingers trembling but determined. And the moment he did, the gate's pull changed, shifting from devouring to dispersing, its glow spreading across all four of them evenly, its hunger diluted. Mira gasped as her knees hit the stone. "It's working. It's sharing the drain." Rowan tightened his grip. "Hold on. Do not let go." The chamber trembled violently. Stones cracked overhead. Dust rained over their shoulders. The rock around the crack began to pulse faster, like a heartbeat accelerating toward collapse. Lily's vision blurred. She tasted blood at the back of her throat. She forced her focus back on Callan. "Look at me. Look at us. You are not alone." Callan lifted his gaze, eyes shining with tears and light. I can't hold it." "Yes, you can," Rowan whispered fiercely. "Because this time, I'm here." A deep groan ripped through the tunnel, the unmistakable sound of something ancient breaking. The crack shrank, just a little, then more. The pull lessened. Rowan's breath shook with relief. "It's closing. Keep going." Together, they poured their strength into the gate. Lily felt memories flash, her first night at the palace, Rowan's smile, Callan's trembling trust. Mira whispered prayers under her breath. Rowan held them with everything he had. The light reached its peak, and then it snapped. The crack sealed instantly, its glow extinguishing like a blown candle. A shockwave of warm air burst outward, throwing them all to the ground. Silence. Lily blinked against the darkness, dust settling around her. "Callan!" A small hand slipped into hers. "I'm here," he whispered. Rowan crawled to them, pulling Callan and Lily into a shaking embrace. Mira leaned against the wall, exhausted but alive. The tunnel was still. The gate was gone. Rowan pressed his forehead to Callan's. "You saved us. You saved this kingdom." Callan's voice trembled. "Are we safe now?" Rowan nodded. "Yes, because you're home." Lily smiled weakly. "And destiny can finally rest." Callan leaned into them, small and warm and breathing. Not a prophecy, not a curse, but a child who had been lost and was found again. Above them, faint daylight glimmered down the stairway. Rowan stood, lifting Callan into his arms. "Let's go home." They climbed the long steps together, a king, a healer, a woman who refused to break, and a boy who had changed the fate of a kingdom not through prophecy, but through heart. At the top, the first rays of morning touched their faces. A new beginning, a world no gate controlled, a family finally whole. What did you think of the story? Subscribe to the channel and share it with someone who will also be moved today.